Okay, so a lot of people have been asking for my opinion on the Tiandi Rework, which, fair enough. I am pretty much the only, dedicated Tiandi YouTuber out there, as far as I know of anyway. So, it's literally the icon of my channel, so I might as well talk about my thoughts. But before I even say anything, for the most part, the rework is great. It feels very fun to play with, so I definitely really appreciate the work Ubisoft put in. But I do have a few bits of feedback and things I'd like to see change that I will talk about. First of all, and this is probably the biggest one, pretty much every Tiandi player that I've talked to or that I've heard from has said that they hate this change, with a few exceptions. The side dodge heavy being sped up. The reason Ubisoft gave for this change was they wanted Tiandi to have a way to punish bashes. I don't really agree with this because most Tiandi players already use side dodge light to do that, but even if that was the point of the change, it doesn't feel very good and it doesn't look very good. The inputs are very awkward. If you watch Freeze's video that he made on it, he talked about it too. It just feels very uncomfortable to use right now, and that's not what Tiandi's about. Most of his inputs and his recovery cancels and his feints usually feel very satisfying and easy, but with the new dodge heavies, it just, I don't know, man. Half the time I use that move, I try to feint it, but it just so fast that I can't feint it in time. The animations look awful. Here's an example of what the new side dodge heavy animations look like. Yeah, not very good. And it still dealt 25 damage on testing grounds, which I am guessing it was just an oversight, because that's way too much for an 800 millisecond dodge attack. What else? I don't know, it just didn't feel good. I didn't like it. I get that it can punish bashes and stuff more now, but you could already do that with side dodge light, so the change that Ubisoft should make, if they want side dodge light to be the bash punisher, just make the input window a little bit wider. I'll put an example of what a wide input window looks like with some Overwatchy gameplay on the screen. But essentially, if they took that change and they applied it to Tiandi side dodge lights, I believe right now the input is 100 to 300 milliseconds into the dodge. If they just made that like 100 to 500 milliseconds, it would be a lot easier to punish bashes with it, so that would be probably the way I'd go about it. Definitely not speeding up side dodge heavies. It clearly didn't work. Most people hated it, it didn't feel good, so that change needs to be reverted. The second thing I'll talk about is recovery cancelable bashes. Now this has been something people have hated for a long time. Back when Orochi had this, it got pretty much removed straight away because of how many people complained about it. The problem is that I don't know, I just don't like this being in the game. Bashes being cancelable into dodges, it's too safe. If you dodge a bash, you should be able to punish that bash by using a dodge attack, or if you want to take a risk and you want to punish it with a light parry, you can wait for a light parry. But I don't like the idea that Tiandi can just punish your dodge attack for dodging his bash, which he can do with a lot of moves on testing grounds. I think the correct solution would be just make Tiandi's bashes work like Orochi's bash does. If he lands the bash, he can dodge out of it, but if he misses, he cannot. He can still chain from it, but he cannot dodge out of it. I think that would be the correct way to fix this. If they drop the testing ground changes without addressing this issue, then people are gonna be mad. People always get mad when they dodge something like a bash. You already made a read by dodging it, and you still get punished for throwing a dodge attack. It's just not fun, so hopefully that change gets reverted on the bashes. I still like every other move being dodge cancelable though, just not the bashes. Okay, the last thing I'll just talk about real quick is the forward dodge heavy. Now, Ubisoft didn't say anything about this in the patch notes or the Warriors Den stream when they talked about the rework. They just kind of nerfed this move without any real explanation behind it, so that was kind of strange. But it used to be, I think, almost instant, like 100 milliseconds into your dodge you could do this. But now if you do a forward dodge heavy, you have to wait a whole 400 milliseconds before it comes out. It feels awful, it looks awful, it's way harder to trade with. So yeah, I don't know what's up with this. I think the reason behind this nerf... Oh, my dog is barking in the background, my apologies. I think the reason behind this nerf was that they wanted it to not be confirmed after a kick. I understand that, but you can't just nerf a move without at least explaining it and putting it into the patch notes and maybe compensating it in some way. You know, maybe you could have the armor kick in earlier, make it less vulnerable to guard breaks. As it is currently, you can literally get hit by Tiandi's light or heavy and just mash guard breaks on testing grounds, and you would, if Tiandi went into forward dodge heavy afterwards, you would get a free guard break. So if they don't want kick to be followed up by a guaranteed forward dodge heavy, which I think the reason they don't want that is they don't want Tiandi to be able to forward dodge heavy, kick, forward dodge heavy, kick, forward dodge heavy, kick over and over again. They need to come up with a different solution, but just nerfing a move into the ground without explanation is not the way to go about it for sure. Other than that, I think for the most part the changes are great. I love the way the new recovery cancels feel, they're very satisfying. It's very nice to bait people with them. Obviously it shouldn't be on bashes like I said, but being on chained heavies, dodge attacks, just most attacks is very nice, very satisfying to use, so love those changes. Love most of the Tiandi changes, he feels so much better on testing grounds. But yeah, hopefully Ubisoft makes a few tweaks, just gets rid of some of the annoying stuff, and hopefully, yeah, we get the new rework Tiandi that we had on testing grounds. Hopefully that helps you guys see what I think about the rework, because a lot of people were asking. And yeah, peace out, and thanks for watching.